On May 28, 2025, the peaceful hills where Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos meet, the region known as the Emerald Triangle, were shattered by the sudden crack of gunfire. For years, this remote borderland had been a symbol of uneasy calm, its dense jungles and winding rivers quietly marking the boundaries between nations. But on that fateful morning, the tranquility was broken, and the world's attention turned to this often overlooked corner of Southeast Asia. A Cambodian and a Thai patrol, both on edge from months of simmering disputes, clashed near the disputed Mom Bay area. What began as a routine standoff over a patch of contested land quickly spiraled out of control, turning a tense encounter into a deadly tragedy that would echo far beyond the jungle. In the chaos, a Cambodian soldier lost his life. His death reignited old wounds and brought decades of unresolved tension roaring back to the surface, sparking outrage and grief in both Cambodia and Thailand. The loss was felt deeply, not just by his comrades, but by entire communities on both sides of the border. The incident escalated rapidly. Military units were placed on high alert, convoys rumbled down rural roads, and urgent messages flew between capitals. Political leaders scrambled to respond, each move watched closely by anxious citizens and the international community alike. For the villagers living in the shadow of the border, the gunfire was more than just distant noise. It was a chilling reminder of past conflicts. Border crossings slammed shut, families were separated, and daily life was thrown into turmoil. Fear and uncertainty swept through the small communities that call this borderland home. As night fell over the jungle, tension hung thick in the air. Both nations reinforced their military presence, setting up checkpoints and patrols that glowed under the harsh light of flood lamps. The once quiet hills now echoed with the sounds of boots and engines as soldiers braced for what might come next. The death of a single soldier set off a chain reaction, forcing political leaders into tense negotiations and testing the fragile peace that had held for years. News of the clash dominated headlines, and military command centers buzzed with activity as both sides weighed their next moves. Once again, the quiet border of the Emerald Triangle became the epicenter of a historic dispute, its fate uncertain as dawn broke over a region holding its breath. To truly understand the roots of the 2025 conflict, we must journey back to the era of colonial rule, when the seeds of today's tensions were first sown. The story of the border is not just a tale of lines on a map, but of power, ambition, and the lasting scars of foreign intervention. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, France and Siam, modern-day Thailand, negotiated borders with little understanding or respect for the complex tapestry of local communities, languages, and histories that existed long before their arrival. These borders were often drawn hastily, with rulers in distant capitals making decisions that would shape the lives of millions. The 1907 Franco-Siamese Treaty, a pivotal moment in this history, was based on a patchwork of inconsistent and sometimes inaccurate maps. This left behind a legacy of confusion and ambiguity, with both sides inheriting documents that often contradicted each other. Today, Cambodia relies on a French-drawn map as the foundation of its claims, while Thailand uses its own, more detailed version. These competing maps have led to overlapping claims, with each side convinced of the legitimacy of its own version of history. But these discrepancies are not just technical or bureaucratic. They cut to the heart of national pride and identity. For both nations, the border is a symbol of sovereignty, dignity, and the right to self-determination. The Preah Vihear Temple, perched dramatically on the border, became a flashpoint in 1962. The International Court of Justice ruled in Cambodia's favor, but the decision left deep resentment in Thailand, where many saw it as a loss of heritage and territory. For Cambodians, the colonial map is a shield that protects their sovereignty and affirms their place in the world. For Thais, it remains a painful reminder of perceived injustice and foreign imposition, fueling a sense of loss that is passed down through generations. Every new border negotiation or discussion reopens these old wounds, reigniting mistrust and stirring up powerful currents of nationalism on both sides. The border is not just a line, it is a living wound, sensitive to every touch. For families living in border villages, the conflict is about more than land. It is about history, honor, and the pain of unresolved grievances. Many elders still remember the violence and upheaval of past clashes, and their stories keep the memories alive. This is why the border remains a flashpoint, a place where old resentments simmer just beneath the surface, ready to erupt with the slightest spark. The presence of soldiers and checkpoints is a constant reminder that peace here is fragile. The violent events of May 2025 prove just how easily the past can shape the present. In this region, history is never far away, and the wounds of the border remain open, shaping the lives and destinies of all who live nearby. The fatal gunshot triggered a rapid military buildup along the border. Troops and equipment poured into disputed zones, transforming the area into a tense standoff. By early June, both countries closed border checkpoints, halting trade and daily crossings. High-level talks led to a fragile agreement to pull troops back, but the peace was uneasy. The border remained volatile, with soldiers on high alert and underlying issues unresolved. The escalation showed how quickly local incidents can threaten regional stability. For border communities, memories of past clashes resurfaced, fueling anxiety. Without a lasting solution, the border stayed a tinderbox. The crisis underscored the urgent need for real resolution. As tensions eased at the border, a political crisis erupted in Bangkok. On July 1, 2025, Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra was suspended after a leaked call with Cambodia's Hun Sen. Her perceived deference and criticism of Thailand's military sparked nationalist outrage. The scandal fractured her coalition, with key partners withdrawing support. A leadership vacuum followed, weakening Thailand's government and its negotiating position. Hardline voices seized the moment, using the border dispute to attack the Shinawatra family. The phone call showed how domestic politics and international crises can collide. While soldiers guarded the border, political battles raged in Bangkok. Amid Thailand's political turmoil and rising tensions along the border, Cambodia made a strategic decision to turn to international law, filing a case with the International Court of Justice over the disputed border areas. This move was not just about territory, but about seeking legitimacy and a peaceful resolution through established global institutions. For Cambodia, the courtroom in The Hague represented a place where history, treaties, and legal arguments could be weighed impartially, far from the heated emotions on the ground. Cambodia's trust in the court is rooted in its 1962 victory, when the ICJ ruled in its favor regarding the Preah Vihear Temple. This past success shapes Cambodia's current approach, framing the border dispute as a matter of legal principle and international justice. Cambodian officials emphasize that the rule of law should prevail, and that the court's decision will bring clarity and stability to the region. Thailand, however, rejects international arbitration, arguing that such matters should be resolved directly between neighbors. Thai leaders insist on bilateral talks, pointing to the 2000 Memorandum of Understanding as the proper framework for negotiations. They argue that outside intervention could complicate matters and undermine regional cooperation. In response to mounting pressure, the long-dormant Joint Boundary Commission was revived, bringing both sides back to the negotiation table for urgent discussions. These meetings are tense, with each delegation defending its nation's interests and historical claims, but they also represent a rare opportunity for dialogue and compromise. Now, both countries are pursuing parallel paths. Cambodia seeks a definitive legal ruling from the International Court, while Thailand pushes for direct, face-to-face negotiations. This dual-track approach highlights the deep divide over how best to resolve such a sensitive issue. At its core, the disagreement is not just about a strip of land or ancient ruins, but about the very process of resolving disputes between nations. Should international law or regional diplomacy take precedence when history, identity, and sovereignty are at stake? The outcome, whether decided in a courtroom or at a conference table, will have lasting consequences, shaping not only the future of the border, but also the broader relationship between Thailand and Cambodia, and potentially setting a precedent for the region. For now, the diplomatic standoff continues, with soldiers stationed along the border and diplomats working behind the scenes. Both sides remain wary, knowing that any misstep could escalate tensions further. The world watches closely as these two neighbors debate the merits of law versus negotiation, hoping for a peaceful solution that will bring stability to Southeast Asia. At the heart of the conflict are century-old maps, French drawn for Cambodia, Thai drawn for Thailand. The 1907 treaties maps, made with outdated technology, left room for confusion and overlapping claims. Cambodia's map is less detailed, while Thailand's is more precise, leading to disputes over natural landmarks. These maps are more than technicalities. They're symbols of sovereignty and colonial legacy. The 2000 Memorandum of Understanding aimed to resolve differences through joint surveys, but progress has stalled. Flashpoints like the Ta Krabi and Tamoni Tom temples embody the deeper struggle over history and justice. Until the border is fully demarcated, old maps and old ghosts will keep haunting the present. The technical dispute remains a powerful obstacle to peace. Beyond politics, the border conflict devastates everyday lives. For generations, border communities relied on open crossings for trade, work, and family ties. The June 2025 closures silenced markets and cut off livelihoods overnight. Small traders, hotels, and transport services suffered immediate losses. Cambodian migrant workers in Thailand faced fear and uncertainty, torn between staying and returning home. For these people, the conflict is about survival, not maps or pride. The true cost is measured in disrupted lives and lost opportunities. The border is the lifeline of a $5 billion trade relationship, supporting businesses large and small. Thailand's exports and Cambodia's reliance on Thai energy make the border vital for both economies. Border closures and reduced hours caused supply chain chaos and financial pain. Thailand used energy exports as leverage, linking security cooperation to economic ties. Hundreds of thousands of Cambodian workers in Thailand faced anxiety and instability. The two nations are deeply interdependent. Thailand needs labor, Cambodia needs jobs and remittances. Ordinary people bear the brunt of political disputes, facing daily hardships. The real test of peace is whether people can live, work, and trade together without fear. The 2025 crisis is a stark reminder of how fragile peace is along the Thai-Cambodian border. True stability requires moving past nationalism and embracing dialogue. The revived Joint Boundary Commission offers hope, but only if leaders show real commitment. A hybrid approach, combining bilateral talks with international legal clarity, could break the deadlock. Building trust means honoring agreements and keeping politics from derailing progress. The well-being of border communities must come first. The journey to peace will be long, but it's essential for both nations' futures. Only by working together can Thailand and Cambodia finally lay the ghosts of the past to rest.